Welcome to the Profitable Cleaner podcast. Join your hosts, James Harper and Angel Sandoval, bringing you the experts, discussions, and knowledge you want. We talk about sales, technology, marketing, operations, strategy, leadership, mindset, health, God, and so much more. Now, are you ready to profit?
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Profitable Cleaner. As you guys know, this is our new version, our new way of doing things, and we're going to get one of our awesome guests to help us be one of the first episodes since we're back. Yigal Adato, welcome back, brother. How you been?
Thank you, gentlemen. Always honored to be on the show with you guys.
How have you been, James? You doing good?
I'm doing great, man. Super excited to speak to Yigal. I mean, this is actually, Yigal, kind of funny here. You are our first ever returning guest, man.
All right. I like that. I like it.
And the reason we're doing return guests, for those wondering, like, oh, they've never done a return guest, why are they doing return guest, is basically Yigal, as you guys might have already found out, is going to be part of the Cleaning Profits 2.0. A lot of you got an opportunity to experience Yigal for what, about like an hour outside of the paper scissors rock tournament, right? Who won, Diana or Kendrick? I can't remember who won there.
It was Kendrick.
Yeah.
Kendrick, yeah, he won that, and then you guys got to experience Yigal for 60 minutes, which I bet for those that attended was amazing. But now we're doubling down. And before we get into that, just Yigal, man, I mean, I've seen you just got featured in the San Diego Business Journal, being interviewed in Fox News, and I see you really trying to make big strides when it comes down to leadership. Why do you think you've been able to get that much publicity and that presence there locally?
So first, I think that going back to the event, if I may, it was an incredible event. Even though I only spoke for 60 minutes, I was there for the dinner. I was there for the whole day. I got to hang out with everybody. The community is incredible. The energy's amazing. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, get your ticket now, because I'll be there again. So why? I think that I'm just doing things a little bit differently. I think that a lot of the leadership people are talking and regurgitating information. And my take is that leadership development is extremely broken these days. And I'm putting a different twist on it, just being honest and transparent. And I think that's really hitting a chord with people.
Well, man, one, thanks for plugging in the event. It's going to be awesome. But I agree. We've been seeing what you've been doing, and I believe a few cleaning companies, a few of our clients have had an opportunity to experience also one of your events and firsthand. And you're right, you do look at leadership different. Real quick, for those that don't know you, give us a quick synopsis of who Yigal is and what your take is on leadership. What's different about your take?
Yeah. So who I am and what my take is very different. I'm a husband and a father. And my take on leadership is that you first have to learn internal leadership. And there's a difference between internal and external. External is what you read about the most: how to have a meeting, how to delegate your time, how to communicate, how to hire, fire, those types of things. Internal leadership is you. It's your clarity, your courage, your commitment, the condition of your mind and your body. It's you first. And if you can't lead yourself, how in the hell can you lead other people? Right? I have a stat here that my team just sent me. It says 35% identify that their boss is the major source of stress at work. Like you, the boss, are the biggest stressor of people in the job site. And it also says that 80% say that a change in direct management or leadership has an impact on their stress levels. And it's not just how that person, talks and communicates or has a meeting or delegates or time manages. It's who they are as a person. It's their leadership personality. And we call this leadership contagion. So in psychology, there's something called social contagion. So the way I came into this room, this Riverside room with you guys, if I was just like, hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm doing all right. Right? If I came down with like super low energy, I give that off. And that's how I showed up to the first event that you guys had, right? I stood up on a chair. We did rock, paper, scissors, brought up the energy. It was incredible. But if I just walked up and was like, hey, nice to meet you. My name is Yigal. It just wouldn't have been as fun. And so as a leader, you are contagious. So if you walk in stressed, overwhelmed, bad attitude, that's what you give off to your team. But if you walk in positive, motivated, just full of energy, that's what you give off to your team. Who do you want to be? So that's the difference.
Man, I love your. Sorry, Angel. I have to jump. I have to jump in right here. I love your analogy, leadership contagion. And you recently said something. I can't remember if it was on Instagram or LinkedIn. You said you don't know what it's like to work for you. And I thought that like really hit home. I was like, you're right. You don't know what it's like to work for you. So what are you giving off to your team, your people? That leadership contagion aspect. And if you're the leader, how do you monitor of like what you're giving off to your team, Yigal, and without asking, hey, are you happy working for me? Because people are going to give you whatever answer that may or may not be true. Like, I'm hearing leadership contagion, and I'm remembering a post you just put out. You don't know what it's like to work for you, and I feel like they're one-on-one. How do you kind of take a pulse on yourself to know what type of contagion you're giving off? Yeah.
So great question. So first of all, like, in your heart of hearts how you're showing up, right? And you're right. You never want to ask your team, am I a good leader? Because they're going to lie to your face. You write the paycheck. You determine their livelihood in a sense. And they're never going to be like, hey, you are a horrible leader. I hate working for you. You suck. Go home. That will rarely happen. But what you can do is you can say, what do you need to make this job more efficient, more effective? What do you need to be happier working for here? And then they'll start talking to you in not just terms of, hey, I need a better, more cleaning supplies. They'll start talking about themselves. Hey, I love if this place was a little bit more positive. I love if we were communicated to differently. I love if, things weren't so last minute. And then you'll be able to get the feedback that you need to make changes in yourself. And that's where it starts, right? It says, Apollo Technical did a study where they asked like 2,000 organizations, and it says that 77% of organizations report that leadership is lacking. 77%, guys, right? And, everybody says, oh, leadership is so important. Leadership is so important. I want you to guess the percentage of people who actually implement leadership development in their companies. Take a guess.
12%.
James?
Yeah, I'll say 15.
5%.
Oh, damn. And I thought I was going short. Damn.
5% ever say, you know what? I'm leading a team of 200 people. I'm leading a team of 50 people. I'm leading a team of 20 people. Yes, I know my business. Yeah, yes, I know how to grow this cleaning business. I'm third generation, second generation. I bought it from a great guy, whatever it was, right? But rarely does somebody say, hey, in order to grow my business, let me become a better leader. And the reason for that, guys, is because when do you raise your hand and say, hey, I need to take account on who I am. I need to really dive deep into who I'm showing up as in this business, as opposed to let me do better marketing and sales and customer service and metrics, and all that stuff is super important, right? But when you add leadership to that layer, it magnifies everything. When you add leadership to sales, you guys are in the sales and marketing game. When you add leadership to that, it magnifies sales and marketing so much more because you show up better. You communicate better. You are a better person. You lead at a whole different level, making your team sell more and market better.
Let me ask you a question though on that, because someone listening to this is going to be like, oh man, that sounds all great. Okay, so there's a lack of leadership, right? I'm going to play devil's advocate. So
Sure.
yeah, you say there's a lack of leadership and lack of looking internally as a leader. Let me ask you a question. There's also this growing thing about lack of accountability from the employee standpoint. Does that make sense? Is that a straight reflection of leadership or of the leadership in itself? Or is there such thing too that employees just don't want to work or employees just don't want to be accountable? Because like nowadays, and I mean, you see it everywhere. It's like now you have to say things a certain way. Now you can only lead us. Like there's so many, like a box that a leader has to be put through. How do they navigate through that? And is it always on the leader or is there such thing as on the employee as well?
So let me kind of translate that question, if I may.
It's a long question.
I think the question that you're saying is, do we have lazier people working for us? Right? Is there like this cause
Like,
of people?
is there also a lack of accountability for an employee, not just
Okay,
leadership?
so great question. There is a big lack of accountability in society in general. But when you start to work for somebody who is an incredible leader, you get motivated and inspired to be accountable. You see the difference when you're working for somebody great. You see the difference when somebody who's leading cares about you, knows about you, is listening to you, is hearing the wants and the needs of the team. And when you lead in that way, people will start to become accountable. Now, will there be people who have to get off your team that don't belong? 100%. 100%, because I believe that there's a lot of laziness, lack of accountability, and the lack of leadership that starts with our youth. So leadership isn't taught when you're young. Rarely is it taught. So you grow up and you're just like, oh, I just want to live on the beach, have a laptop and live an incredible lifestyle. Because that's what we're seeing on Instagram, guys. We're saying, oh, I'll make you 10 figures, in 2 weeks, right? Just sell this tchotchke and make $50,000 a month and you never have to work a day in your life. The youth, they're hearing this. So why would they ever want to come work for you? What's the reason? So you have to make that culture so incredibly fun, caring, growth-oriented that people are like, hey, I'm in. I'm here. And if you don't do that...
I like how you said it, man. It's not about hiring someone that is ridiculously accountable. Of course, you want to look into your core values and all that stuff, but the way you just put that, like, are you inspiring and motivating people to be accountable? You don't want them to just show up and somehow be like the best employee. But if you can inspire them to do so, I could see how you can shift culture very, very quickly.
Listen, and I'm going to say this with respectfully. And I'm going to give you an example when I used to own my pawn shops. When I used to own my pawn shops, my team wasn't getting paid like a lawyer gets paid. And so with that, I knew that I had to add so much more to their lives because of it. I had to create an incredible culture of caring, of empathy, of work ethic, all those types of things, because my team wasn't making $45 an hour. They were making more than minimum. They were very well paid for the industry. But because of that, I had to give more as a leader. So you can't expect people to show up making minimum wage, a little bit more, or fair market value for your industry and not pour into them as a leader. That's selfish.
I think that's really well said. And it's something that I go back and forth on all the time. And one thing when it comes to leadership that I've struggled with in the past, and I often wonder about, like, so many business owners are under so much pressure all the time. Like, you go from, and I know we're going to get into the team aspect in a minute, but you said it starts with self leadership. Like, so much pressure, and Monday morning comes around. I know you have a mantra about Monday mornings, and like, I used to be riddled with like this fear, and I wasn't even sure of fear of what. And then Angel and I do 7 a.m. kickoff calls with our team, and then I'm like riddled with fear for this Monday morning call, and then it's almost like I had to fake it like I was some leader. But I think that came through to the team, and it wasn't until we started holding ourselves more accountable, things changed. To the person that's listening to this, Yigal, that does have that stress, high anxiety, they're scared, frankly, of leadership, but they're in this role of running a multi-million-dollar cleaning company. Where do you start? Where do you start when you're that person that knows they have to show up, but like feeling like showing up just feels like a burden?
So you said something that I'm going to use in a post today, if that's okay.
Please.
Leadership
just tag us.
Yeah, for sure. Leadership relieves the pressure. And the way you start is with clarity. And I'm going to give you a great example in this industry. I had the honor of having a couple of calls with a cleaning company. And there were 3 partners, and we sat down and we're talking. And the first question I asked was, what do you want? What do you want? What do each of you want? And we started getting a list of wants. And when we had that clear communication, when we had the clarity of what do you want, that's when everything started to pop off and things were doing like, that's when conversations, smiles, they relieve the pressure, because rarely do people get asked, what do you want? I had this idea driving to my office this morning. We had a rough weekend with my wife, the kids, we lost the nanny. It was just turmoil in the house. It was pretty crazy. And I just thought to myself, man, I should take my wife on a date and just ask her, like, what do you want financially? What do you want sexually? What do you want emotionally? What do you want spiritually? Like, what do you want? Because we change as people. And if we don't find out what we want, how can we work towards that mission and have the team accomplish it? So the first thing, James, I'll kind of like summarize it, is like, ask yourself, your partners, your team, what do you want? And that question is so hard to answer sometimes because you're rarely asked that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like the what do you want though. Now you're making that's literally what I'm gonna do with my wife this week. What do you want? It's interesting though, especially like as a leader. Sometimes as a leader, you take on the pressure. Like now I'm thinking of both family pressure, provider pressure, and then you got your company pressure, like the provider, and then you still have to take care of yourself. So there's a lot of different things. I think not a lot of people allow themselves to go from need to want. And I think I've had a few of my mentors that are like, bro, you gotta stop talking just based on your needs, because then you're gonna stay in this survival mode, right? Like we need to get these sales. We need to do this. We need to hit this profitability, but we never allow ourselves to go to the want. How do you allow yourself as a provider, again, not just the male, but like as a CEO, the provider of opportunity, if that makes sense? How do you take yourselves from need to want? Someone listening to this, how do they go from survival to thriving type of mentality?
I think it's just in the question and in the way you speak. If you write down on a piece of paper, like, what do I need? And you get that out of the way. I need more sales. I've got to, build more team. I've got to bring on 3 more cleaners. I need to like all that type of stuff. And then on the other side, just write down, like, what do I want? And what do I want is, so what do I need comes from the mind. It's like, what do I need at the moment? It's more logical, right? I need more sales. I need to hire more people. That's what need is. What do I want is from the heart. Like, what do I want?
Repeat that line right there, bro.
Yeah. So what do I need is from the head, right? It's like the logic. And what do I need is from the heart. When you talk about what you need, oh, wow.
Sorry, I just had to drop a bomb right there.
That's more like a missile or something, like a jet going by. I like it. Though.
And yeah. And what happens a lot of times is that we try to lead from the mind. And if we start to lead from the heart more, we get more traction. We come from a different place. We can share more. We can be more accountable. And if you just sit in the logic, a different cleaning company I got to work with was like, oh, we need to sell $1 million more. I said, I get that. I get that you need to make up the gap. It's understood. But what do you want? And we got tears from what I want. We got like heartfelt emotion from what I want. And when you start to plan from what you want, the needs might start to change little by little. It might be the same. It doesn't matter. You still need the sales. You still need to hire more people. That's understood. But where you come from to get to that point is a different place.
Boom. I love it. Every time we talk, there's going to be a lot. So now before I forget, because we have to still make time for what we're going to be experiencing over there in the event, I do want to discuss one quote that I saw you post on your LinkedIn, man. Unless, James, before we move into conversation 2, is there anything you want to touch on with the needs and wants? Because I saw you going crazy back there.
No, I want to get to what Angel talks about. I think maybe this is the quote you're going to get at, Angel, so I apologize if I'm stealing your thunder here. we talked about showing up. We talked about the needs, the wants. When you feel like how leadership alleviates pressure, what you talk about bare minimum Monday, and this is where my mind goes. It's Monday as we record this right now. What's bare minimum Monday, Yigal?
Bare minimum Monday is a ridiculous idea that some laptop entrepreneur started. I was brought on the news to battle a bare minimum Monday. Bare minimum Monday basically says that on Mondays you should do the bare minimum, just answer a couple of emails, go get your hair done, your nails did, whatever that is, right? I believe
is that like an actual concept?
Yeah, it's an actual. It's like went crazy on TikTok, went viral, and for me, some people don't have the opportunity to bare minimum, right? The reporter was like, I don't have an like I have to be here and do what I need to do. Cops and firefighters and like there's no bare minimum, nothing. And I think where that came from was self-care. And I'm a big proponent of self-care, a massive proponent of not being overwhelmed, not being stressed out, taking care of yourself. But when you start infusing these negative ideas, these toxic ideas in the workplace, it's out of integrity. Can you imagine if you have a team of 200 people and everybody just bare minimums on Monday? It's stealing. Imagine if you come in as a CEO, you're like, I'm just going to put my feet up on the table. I'm not going to work so hard. I'm not going to sell as much. Doesn't matter what these people need. Just bare minimum. So it just drove me crazy. And they brought me on to talk about that because if you need to take a break, take it. But don't you dare infuse a bad idea to everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that's what the fact that you were brought on to talk about it blows my mind because that's basically where we live it now, right? Where this society's at. Like we almost want to award laziness.
Yeah.
Because I think people confuse self-care with laziness, and I don't appreciate that whatsoever. Sometimes self-care, believe it or not, sometimes self-care is working harder. I don't care. And I don't think people understand that. They automatically think that self-care means rest. And I was like, no. Because if you have 20 tabs open in your mind and you don't get those things done, no matter how much sleep or what you do, it's gonna be in the back of your head. So self-care, I think, is just defined by the person. One and two is, this society trips me out sometimes, man. When they're like, yeah, you shouldn't work hard, and I'm like, bro, I can't afford to not work. If I were to decide to just work 8 to 5 every day or whatever, nothing else, ask me where my life will be in 5 years, 10 years, in a year. There's not gonna be any progress. It's not gonna be any progress.
Angel, you did Spartan races, right? I guarantee you after that Spartan race, you felt incredible because I've done them as well. And you trained for them and it was hard and it was tough, but it was euphoric because you finished and you jumped over the flame, right? I've done the whole thing. It's incredible. You got your award, you got your medal. It's awesome. Self-care, you're right, is working out more. Self-care is eating right. Self-care is going to the doctor and figuring out what the heck is wrong with me. Like I'll be transparent here. I had a stomach issue for probably 20 years. And I finally found a doctor that like we dove in and it cost me a lot of money. It cost me a lot of time. It cost me a lot of like stress to get to the result, but I got it and I've never felt better. Right? So self-care, you're right. It's sometimes working hard to get the result needed so that you can have a moment of feeling better, having the less overwhelm, having the less stress. It's not just sitting on the couch, eating bonbons, watching Netflix and sleep. That's not self-care sometimes.
Yeah, that's not, depending on your person, like that might be self-deprecation, right? It might not be helping you whatsoever. You know what's funny though? I finished that Spartan race, the second one. I improved by 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then like I beat more people, right? So that would have been something like, oh, celebrate it. But check this out. The people that I went with, one guy got second and the other guy got 17th. Those guys were booking it, right? Like I was nowhere
like of
close.
The whole race.
Oh yeah, no, like he plays podium and everything, number 7 throughout all the I was like, whoa. So instead of feeling like I got that euphoric moment or whatever, you know what I did is I left And I went and paid money to get somebody now to train me, because I'm like, I obviously only improved by 2 minutes by myself. I need somebody to train me. So I paid $200 to get into a CrossFit gym. I was telling James, I always say I never sweat, and at the CrossFit gym, I don't remember the last time I didn't have to clean myself off so I don't stain the car. Like, it's that intense, right?
Hey,
But which brings me
Angel's always
to,
like, I just don't sweat.
yeah, dude. And then I went, and they're
He's
like,
it's the Mexican in me. I just don't sweat. I'm
no,
like, shut up.
it's, I know that would just work. No, and then so anyways, dude, I ended up paying. So it's funny though, because people would have said, "Oh, self-care, Angel, you hit your Spartan, you're done, rest, relax. What's your next challenge?" And it's like, nah, I'll be back in a year, but I need to get my ass kicked in the meantime, because to me that's progress, right? That's me getting better, and my body can feel it, right? Which brings me to my next question. I'm down to invest in myself. I'm down to invest in my wife. I'm down to invest in my employees, anything they need, right, to develop them. But you put a quote that tripped me out that I love. Um, and Kama goes, if you don't trust your managers enough to invest in their growth, then neither of you should be in a relationship. Interesting. So give us a little more thought on that. So if you don't trust your managers enough to invest in their growth, then neither of you should be in a relationship.
So I have a leadership accelerator coming up, and it's like an 8-week leadership accelerator that's for management. I believe that managers are front line. They're working with the team. They're seeing the customers. They're doing a lot, right? So I created this thing for them, and I'm on the phone with an owner, and he says, well, what if my managers won't be here 6 months from now? And I said, if that's the case, fire them today. Like, if there's no trust between you two, why are they there? And if you can't invest in them to grow so that they can be there and run your stores and run your operations, then why are you wasting your time? The only way to have freedom in your business, I grew a business to, hundreds of employees, millions of dollars. The only way to have freedom is to grow team. It's the only way. That's it. And if you don't invest in team and in their capabilities and their leadership, as well as your own, you're not going to be able to take vacations. You're not going to be able to, not worry. You're not going to be able to show up on Monday, not freaking out. You're not going to be able to be present on the weekend with your family. And so that's why I said, I was angry. I was frustrated. I was like, what do you mean? What if they're not here? It was a stupid excuse I've ever heard, one of them, because I've heard a lot of dumb stuff in my life. But it's like, I don't want to invest today, because what happens 8 months from now? This shouldn't matter. Because, and I said this to the owner, I said, hey, I have a question. Is the manager going to go talk with your team today? Yes. That's like telling me, hey, I don't know if I'm going to invest in my relationship. What if my wife cheats on me a year from now? What if we get divorced 5 years from now? What? Hold up a second.
Such a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that quote too. Yigal, sorry, this just triggers kind of a quick story I used to hear along these lines, where the VP goes to the CEO and says, what if we train our employees and they leave? And a good CEO's response is, what if we don't train them and they stay?
Yeah.
And that kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's some synergies between that right there. And that's how I think us as leaders need to be thinking. Do we want the people that we're afraid of leaving? Or do we want to hone the people here, like you said, when you were in the pawn game, giving them so much freaking value that they couldn't leave, not because of pay, but because of culture?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you another stat that my team and I dug up. And it's from the same questionnaire that was done with the other stats I gave you. It says it was 2,000 professionals that were surveyed. Okay. It says that 76% report that work stress has negatively impacted their relationships. Okay. 76% has reported that it negatively impacted their relationships, and 66% report losing sleep because of work stress. 66%. If you don't care about your people, keep doing what you're doing. Right? If you just want to whip people to work and make them go, and you don't care about their home life, and you don't care about their relationships, and you don't care about them being present with their kids, and you don't care about like the stress that they give off to, like, you don't care about that, dude, turn this off, hit pause, don't listen to this, doesn't matter. But you as the leader impact the way people sleep, impact their relationships, impact their presence with their kids. And if you don't care about that, you shouldn't be in business. You should be a dictator somewhere, right? But if you care about your people, you have to learn how to lead. You have to invest yourself in your managers. You have to and should become a better leader. That's it.
I agree with that, man. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to do everything. I think it's who was it? I think one of our customers once said, they're like, yeah, man, if I go in there and I pitch that we're gonna keep your facility clean, right? He's like, why the hell am I pitching that? That's an expectation. That's not a differentiation. That's an expectation. And I think a lot of people, again, as a leader, what are the must do's? You have to invest in them. You have to make sure that when they leave out of your office that they get re-energized again, right? Like I always say, like, I don't want work to be one more of their burden. I know they're already carrying a lot of burdens in their life. How can work give them the tools so that they can eliminate other burdens in their life? You know what I mean?
So I'm in an office building where I have cleaners coming every night. It's one of the reasons why I came to this office. They're like, yeah, we're going to clean your desk and we'll vacuum your car. I was like, you're going to clean for me and take out my trash? Like, how much is the rent? Let's go. Right. It's seriously, it's been a game changer for me that every night my trash is taken out. It's like the small things like that. But I also imagine the person who's cleaning my office and cleaning the hundreds of offices in this building. If there isn't a great culture, if they have a bad manager, they sit there cleaning all day long, then get stress and BS from their manager, and then have to go home, put their head on their pillow, and stress at home. That sucks. In turn, if they came in here and cleaned 100 offices, or I don't know the ratio of person to offices, you guys know that better than I do, right? But if then they were led by an incredible leader, they were communicated, they were loved on with heart, they were empathized, it's a whole different ballgame.
Couldn't agree more.
Doubt. No doubt about that.
I know, Dan, there's going to be a lot of golden nuggets, like I like to say here. Let me ask you then, so because I know we're coming up to the time you go. So we talked about relieving stress, right? Relieving pressure, bad leadership, people not investing, the effects of good leadership, right? Quick question for you. So we got our event coming up, Cleaning Profits 2.0. It's called a statement, right? We are going to make sure that y'all make a statement both as a leader and as a person and every parts of it. What can people give them some quick little insight, not too much, but what can people expect? And if they're like between I want to go, or I don't know if I should, but I think I should, or I'm going to go by myself as CEO, but maybe if I have a director of ops, and I don't know if I should invest in them for it to come. Like, what would you tell them?
So what can you give them insight to? I'll tell you from my first experience at 1.0, which was incredible. You guys did such an outstanding job with the content, with the food, with the connections. And I know from going to industry events in my own industry that you learn so much, not just being at the event itself, but at the conversations at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, over a drink, over a coffee, whatever that is. And being surrounded by other great people who are learning and leveling up makes you level up. Angel, you talked about like being at that CrossFit gym. You're sweating, not because just you're working harder, because you're surrounded by other people who are working their ass off, and you can't be looked at like, oh, the wimp in the corner not doing the work, right? 100%. Like, I know you, bro. You're not going to do that. And that's the same thing that happens when you come to these events. You ask the questions, people pour into you, and you have people like, I know some of the caliber of people coming, and they are massive cleaning companies. From the 2-person operation to the 1,000-person operation who are coming in to teach, and you can learn from everybody. So that's my first thing I want to say. Show up. And seriously, the price that you guys put on these things is a drop of water in the ocean. Like it's so affordable, and it should be the investment. Now, what we're going to do, I've been granted more time, which is awesome.
And full permission to do anything.
And full permission. Yep. So I'm going to bring it. I'm going to put you in a world that's not reality, so that you feel, that you think. I'm going to give you the tools to bring back to your team and motivate, inspire them. So I'm not just going to give you a framework of like, it's not going to be, the PDF on the projector with 15,000 tasks. I'm going to make you feel leadership. I'm going to make you become leadership. And this is going to be done in the tribe of cleaning profits.
Come on.
Man, innovation right there. That's how you're going to be walking out of Yigal's training, just fucking jazzed.
I totally forgot we had that sound effect.
Hey, no, but like real talk. So you know what it's like running an event, Yigal. It's like stressful. It's chaotic. Yeah. At our first event, the one speaker, just like how the flow of the event happened, playing host, everything slowed down, and I was able to watch your 60-minute speak on unlocking the leader. And I won't lie, that whole room was ready to run through a freaking wall, myself included. So the 2.0, there's some more familiarity. We know what we're doing a little bit more. I think people that went to the first one kind of are more excited to come to the second one. I'm looking forward to it, man.
One thing I will say also is, if you're on the fences, these two guys, James and Angel, you guys do things from the heart. And if you just do it from the mind, it's a different experience. But because you guys are doing it from the heart, whoever goes to this thing is having an incredible time. Those people saying oh, I'm going to miss 2-3 days of work. It's going to be so worth what you're going to learn. That, take the time, buy the ticket, get the plane ticket, book the hotel, make it happen.
No, I agree, man. Honestly, there's a reason we're going to give you full range, and we're going to, I know you, I wish we could tell them what we were doing and how intense. When he says we're going to take you into a different world, it's not a question of if we're going to do it, it's we're going to do it, and you're going to experience something that you definitely haven't experienced in the past. Thanks for saying we're doing it from the heart, man. Yeah, we do it with 3 things in mind, right? 1, transformation. That's the first one. Second one is community. And then the third one, man, it's all faith-based, right? It's all God telling us what to do, and we're just trusting what he's putting in our brain and putting the money behind it. Last year we had limited funds. This year we're coming with everything we've got. We're coming with everything. So, dude, I am super excited for what's coming. I don't want to give them more into it. I just know that
I want to say one more thing.
Oh, you do want to give them something. Okay,
we're talking about growth and transformation and all that type of stuff. You're going to have fun. That's the one thing you're going to have, as well as you're going to have fun. You're going to smile. You're going to laugh, and it's going to be a good time.
No doubt. Boom. Well said, man. Well, hey, dude, I have something new here. I found this deck of cards. And I pulled this up once on a podcast. People was like, "Is that a pack of cigarettes?" I'm like, "What is this? 1994?" No.
I was born in 1984.
Yeah. Well, that's weird. All right. So the random questions, man. Anything goes. Do you want to play question roulette? One question, any topic. I have no clue what's in here, man.
100%.
Are you down?
I'm of course.
All right. Question. This is actually good. This kind of we were talking about this a little bit at the beginning. Comment on industry gossip.
I think that people gossip because they're afraid of who they are on the inside.
Ooh,
you gossip and judge because you don't want to work on you, so you project gossip externally. And if that's the case, and if there's a lot of gossip in your culture, for example, and in the industry, stop looking at it as an industry. Start looking at you and show up incredibly well. There's going to be people who want to tear you down, bring you down, and judge you. Don't care what they say. But if there's gossip internally, look at your own leadership. Something's going on that people are gossiping. They're not looking at themselves. They're not working on the company, on the mission, the vision, the values. And so I'll just end it off really strong. The gossip is a full projection of the lack of confidence in yourself.
Gossip is a full projection on the lack of confidence you have in yourself.
Yep.
There it is. That's the quote, man.
I love it. They always say like small minds talk about people, right?
Yep.
That's almost like a pigeon. That's all you can see.
Yep.
What's right in front of you. You can't look at it from like an eagle's view. Dude, I really enjoy having you every single time. I'm super excited for what we're about to create and what we're going to be able to bring to these cleaning companies and these CEOs, man. Super excited. Thank you so much for being here, Yigal. Super excited to have had you back on the podcast. And if you have not gotten your tickets, please go to cleaningprofits.com. Make sure you get your tickets, reserve your spot. If you have questions, you let us know. We'll put you in contact with someone. Money back guarantee every time we do anything. You come and attend, you hate it, I will wire you your money right there, no questions asked. But like God said, show up, be ready to participate, and have fun. Thanks once again, Yigal. Appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure.
Thanks,
and if anybody wants to reach out to me, let Angel or James know. If you want to follow my social, don't forget that at Yigal Adato, Yigaladato, the only Yigal Adato on social. So check it out. That way you can see more of those quotes and comments I make everywhere.
When's your we'll put your link here for the accelerator program as well. Check out the show notes. We'll put everything here for Yigal. And like you said, get in contact. If you got something out of value, send them a message and just tell them, hey, I love this quote right here, and show them that you're listening.
Love it.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, guys,
man.